Part two in the training series, we're going to talk about the navigator. That's this palette right over here on the right side of the screen. You'll see right here I have the project map selected. The navigator has four parts: the project map, the view map, the layout book, and the publisher. These sort of build on each other in a way. Let me pull up the organizer. So if I click this little dropout right here, there's the organizer. This is sort of the expanded edition of the navigator where we can see two columns at a time and really organize them together. That's the name of the palette. So if I go to the project map right here, the project map contains all of the viewpoints. The terminology here is somewhat critical because the viewpoints are the point of origin for all of the views. The views in the view map take those viewpoints and create views with specific layer combinations. The viewpoints, the project map, consists of stories, sections and elevations, interior elevations, worksheets and details, 3D documents, 3D view types, schedules, and project indexes. We don't use lists or info for any of our projects. So as an example, let's take the stories. The stories are based on the story settings. If I add a story to the story settings, say we have a third project in the story, insert above and third floor, I'm going to see a third floor pop up here in the project map. Now nothing has been generated in the view map. This just generates that viewpoint. As an example, if I look at the first floor story right here and go to the A1 site folder of the view map, I can see in the view map I have first floor as part of the site plan. That's that viewpoint saved with a specific scale, layer combination, other view settings. There's an enlarged site plan that uses that same viewpoint but with different view settings, with a different layer combination. Scrolling down, there's also the layout plan that uses that same first floor story, the viewpoint. So the stories are created in the story settings and then saved to the view map with different view settings. This single viewpoint is used dozens and dozens of times in our project. Now the sections and elevations and interior elevations are generated from markers. Over here in the toolbar, there's the section, the elevation, the interior elevation marker types. We also have the detail, worksheet, and camera tool in that same part of the toolbox. But really the source views, the views derived from the model itself that we're using are these three types, the sections, elevations, and interior elevations. By adding a new marker to the project, you add a new viewpoint to the project. If I scroll into, well, let's go back to my main story here. Let's scroll down to the first floor. So if I go to my section marker here and look at the section marker settings, in the favorites, I have different marker types: wall sections, AG, and APR sections. I'm just going to take this AG section and I'm going to call that temp and working section. So that's the name of that marker. I pulled it from the favorites so I know it's going to work. And then that creates this temp working section viewpoint in my project. These are great for just cutting through and working and reviewing your model in section without cluttering things up in the view map. And they're called specifically out as working sections, so you know that they are not part of the documents. But the template does include a series of pre-placed elevation and section markers. And they're labeled building 1, building 2, etc., in the template, but those get renamed as the project develops. Interior elevations are a little bit more unique in that they create multiple viewpoints from a single view. So if I go to my interior elevation marker settings and pull from the favorites here, and one word of warning is that the interior elevation marker likes to dump this on the story above the current story, despite what the favorites might be set to. So make sure that that's set to show on the current story. And the interior elevation is going to reference the zone name and the project orientation. So Project North and the zone name are both referenced in the interior elevation marker. So those are sort of auto text named. And I can drag that through the room from one corner to the other, and then offset for the cut line of those. And I get another zone name marker right here. Once there's a zone in there, these will update with, say, utility or wet bar or kitchen or whatever that room gets named. These cut lines, these individual viewpoints, can then be moved and dragged and offset as needed to shape around the room. The one thing you do want to avoid, though, is having more than 4 edges to the room. If I add another edge, then I lose the reference for the specific view that's going to be placed to layout. That's why I see drawing ID, because that's going to be the drawing that gets placed onto the layout.